You'll be right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you're doing a good job. I appreciate that, but like people, like, I'm talking.
I think we're gonna go. Ready? At this time, I will call the regular meeting of the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board for January 15th, 2025 to order. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Abeni.
Here.
Sorry. Sorry, let me start over. Commissioner Alper. Absent. Commissioner Forney.
Here.
Commissioner Menz.
Here.
Commissioner Olson.
Here.
Commissioner Rucker.
Here.
Commissioner Schaefer. Absent. Commissioner Thompson.
Here.
Vice President Musich.
Present.
President Abeni.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Just a note, Commissioner Schaefer's on her way. She'll be here momentarily. The agenda is before us. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So second.
All those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved, and I'll note that we have a very short agenda tonight. If we finish the business that's on the agenda before we reach our 5:30 open time, we will recess the board and then reconvene at 5:30. So there's a possibility that could occur. There's one set of minutes to approve. Would somebody please move their minutes and read the date?
I'd like to move our regular meeting minutes of January 7th, 2025.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. I'm going to move on to our consent business. I'm aware that maybe one item will be pulled, so we might as well just introduce these one at a time since there are only two. So would somebody please move the first resolution under consent?
I'll move
Point.
resolution.
Point of order, any reports of appointees outside?
Did I miss that? Oh, thank you, former President Forney. Are there reports of outside boards or commissions or committees from any commissioners? No? All right. We'll move back to consent. Yep.
I'll move resolution 2025-3. It's a resolution approving the $18,815.40 donation from Green Cities Accord for MPRB tree planting and maintenance as part of an ongoing collaboration between Green Cities Accord and the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there some discussion? Commissioner Musich, Vice President Musich.
Thank you, President Forney. I just wanted to take a moment for those of you in the audience. Oh, I did it again. I am so sorry. President Abeni, I apologize. I've just gotten into a very bad habit of referring to the president always as Abeni, and I'm going to now go home and say constantly your name until it's etched into my brain as well. So I apologize for that. I wanted to take a moment, for those of you that did not read our agenda packet, to just share with you, for those of you out in the TV viewing audience as well, just that this is not part of the program we have to sell carbon credits. It is a donation from Green Cities Accord that's separate from that. And it's just very generous of them, and I'm so thrilled that they're committing to helping us in this way as well. So thank you very much for the additional funds to help us plant trees and take care of them. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for those comments. Are there other comments? Are there other discussion?
I just second that comment.
Okay. Well, seeing no other comments or discussion, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of Resolution 2025-3, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution passes. Would somebody please move the second
I'll
resolution
move
under consent?
2025-4, resolution approving the collective bargaining agreement with the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, District Council number 5, Local Union number 9, from January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2026.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing no lights, all those in favor of approving Resolution 2025-4, please say aye.
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 Opposed? That resolution
On
passes.
behalf of the Planning Committee, I'll move Resolution 2024-280, a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding with the Mississippi Watershed Management Organization, MWMO, and accepting a grant in the amount of up to $140,000 from MWMO for the acquisition of a portion of the Malcolm Yards development, part of the Grand Rounds Missing Link Regional Trail.
Second.
Before we move to discussion, I'll note that Commissioner Alper has arrived, and so has Commissioner Schaefer. Is there any discussion about this item? Seeing no lights, all those in favor of Resolution 2024-280, please say aye.
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 Opposed? That resolution passes.
I'll move Resolution 2024-282, resolution approving the final concept plan for Farview Park Phase 2 improvements, a part of the North Service area of Minneapolis.
Second?
I hear a second. Any discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and move that to a vote. All those in favor of Resolution 2024-282, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution passes. From Admin and Finance.
Yes, on behalf of Administration and Finance Committee, I'd like to move Resolution 2024-283, excuse me, resolution approving a lease agreement with Marilyn Farber for space on the first floor of the Longfellow House within Minnehaha Regional Park for the period of February 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025, with 2 one-year extensions at the rate of $100 per month for the first term.
Do I have a
Second?
second? I heard a second from Vice President Musich, I believe.
Yes.
Is there any discussion? Seeing no lights, would the secretary take the roll, please?
Commissioner Alper.
Aye.
Commissioner Forney.
Aye.
Commissioner Menz.
Aye.
Commissioner Olson.
Aye.
Commissioner Rucker.
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
Vice President Musich.
Aye.
President Abeni.
Aye.
You have 9 ayes.
Excellent. On behalf of Administration and Finance, I would also like to move Resolution 2024-284. And I realize I apologize, President Abeni, I cut her off before she could say the prior amendment was concluded. That is a resolution awarding a construction contract to Custom Builders, Inc. for the base bid amount of $887,848.35 for the Falwell All-Wheel Park project to construct the All-Wheel Park, bid event number 3325, pending approval by the City of Minneapolis Finance and Property Services Procurement Division and the Minneapolis Civil Rights Department, and further authorizing administrative use of a 5% construction contingency up to $44,392.42 for necessary construction change orders that may arise with the contract, and authorizing the transfer of $424,325 from the 2024 and 2025 Capital Investment Construction Contingency Fund.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead and take that to a vote. All those in favor of Resolution 2024-284, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution passes. And before we move on to the final one, just to let my two colleagues know that came in a little bit late, if we're getting to the end of the agenda, what we'll do is recess until open time at 5:30 if we should complete this next thing before 5:30. Okay. So with that, would you go ahead, Commissioner?
Yes, on behalf of Administration and Finance, in one of the fastest meetings ever, I would like to move Resolution 2024-285. Resolution entering into an endowment affiliation agreement with the Minneapolis Parks Foundation to establish an endowment to assist with funding natural resources, historic infrastructure, and regional park and trail care and maintenance within the Minneapolis Park and Recreation System.
Second.
Great. I see Commissioner Olson's light is on.
Yeah, just a couple of questions on this one. I mean, it's very cool, very exciting. You know, it's part of something that we set out to do, and to see it come to fruition is great. My first question actually was for Council Rice. So I saw that one of the topics that we would be funding with this was trails. And I'm just wondering, have you seen examples in the past where local governments have not gotten what they need from state government, so they create ways to fund those needs, and then it's even harder to get that money from state government? It's a minor thing, but it's just a thought I had, that if we go down this route and it's successful, that, all of a sudden it'll be harder for us to lobby for our trail funding that we need from the state. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Council Rice, please.
Madam President, Commissioner Olson, I think actually what's being proposed here is a good idea, to specifically say, if I understand your question, that because the park board would be successful in its philanthropic activities, it may lead the state or other entities to not fund it. Is that your thought?
Yeah.
Or feel like there's less there? I think that's a legitimate concern. I do know that, for example, St. Paul, our Twin City, years ago set up a pretty big conservatory for it's the McNeely, at the St. Paul Conservancy. See, it's the Conservancy that's there. They've raised a lot of money to do the capital work, but I don't think that's ever impeded St. Paul from then going to the Capitol and asking for additional money for the zoo and the Conservancy there. When Superintendent Miller was on the board, I think this idea was actually germinated back then. It goes back longer in history, but it's taken a while for these things to take root. And I could give some other examples. The Minnesota Zoo has a philanthropic arm that helps do additive things. So I think overall, the direction that the board's going here is probably very positive long-term, because there are things that perhaps the private sector would fund and the state or the Met Council would not. And it seems to be a trend. A lot of these things even started, New York City started with first they had their library on 42nd, and then certainly Central Park. And it's just been a trend the last, several decades. And so we have looked at this, and I think the way the agreement was, I wasn't at all the meetings or even at many of the meetings, but I know there was a pretty robust discussion with those who were there. Commissioner Schaefer and others really looked into these issues. And I think given the size of the system and it's growing and the capital needs, I think it's good. And to answer your question in one word, I think ultimately, no. I don't think it will hurt us with the legislature. In fact, in some cases, it may help in the sense that if we could put up funds through private sources, it will help. In fact, I'll give you this example just up the block. The anchor money to get the connection between here and 26th Avenue and the Ole Olson Trail was really what the foundation did by building the overlook. And I think that showed the legislature that there actually was money that was going into the project. And I would argue that it helped bolster support for getting the $3 million we got to build the trail.
Awesome, fantastic. Yeah, just a passing thought there, and glad to hear your answers there. And then, so the 2 commissioners and 1 staff member will be appointed to kind of guide our goals and kind of philosophy around it. And then staff will work with commissioners to identify desired investment policy. Is that something that we will kind of all as a board decide, or is that something that will just be those commissioners? Because I think we're all, interested in making sure that we're not investing in like war and fossil fuels and all that. So
Secretary Ringgold has her light on, I think maybe for both of those questions, if you could please.
Thank you, President Abeni and Commissioner Olson. So I'll take the second one first. It would be the intent that it would be a discussion of the whole board, with the idea that you have one representative, for example, on the investment committee, and so you'd want that representative to have the full force and understanding of what the board's overall direction, so the individual wouldn't necessarily act independently, they'd act with the voice of the board in that space. We're already starting to think, in the event that this is approved tonight, we're starting to think about how we might enter into that conversation with the board and be able to likely develop that actually into some type of an investment policy that's approved and published by the board. On the first one, the only thing I would add in addition to what Council Rice indicated is that that particular category of parks and trails, operations and maintenance is only similar to the O&M dollars that we typically only get like 10% of the 40% that's owed to us by the city. So it's that part. It's not actually competing with parks and trails dollars or bonding dollars or anything like that. It would just be really specific to that type of work.
Yeah, no, it was the O&M stuff that I was curious about. So thank you for that as well. And then I was watching the meeting last week, and I was writing notes about this when I was watching it. And so, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, so apologies for this question. But so when the fund gets to a certain point, eventually we're giving it's 5% of the funds or the profits from the fund, and it was kind of is that only 5% of like sorry, this is a poor question. I was trying to remember what I was getting at here, but is it 5? So we're giving away 5% only off of we get a 7% annual rise. It's not 5% of that 7%, right? Or could you explain that to me? Sorry.
President DeBenny, Commissioner Olson, and I also would invite Sarah or Ann to come forward to the podium if they have more to add to what I'm going to say. So there's kind of actually technically 3 phases of this. So there's a phase where we're building up to $10 million. There's a phase between $10 million and $100 million. And then there's the phase after we're at $100 million, which we can't wait to get to that point. So that first phase of up to $10 million, it would be 5% on the gift, any gift more than $50,000. So a $50,000 gift would have 0% taken from it. Gifts higher than that would have that 5% taken from it. When we get to the point where there's a balance between 10 million and 100 million, then there would be 5% on the gift, again, above 50,000, and then there would be 5% at the distribution. So there would be a distribution determined through the Joint Endowment Committee and through the foundation's work, and it would be 5% of that distribution.
Okay.
When we get all the way to that fantastic $100 million time point, it's just 5% on the distribution.
Okay, that's right.
The added piece to this that I think, we'll give you back your time. The added piece to this that I think is really important and part of, I think, the foundation trying to make sure that the dollars go to the intent of the endowment versus unnecessary additional funds to the foundation is they've actually established a cap based on 10% of their annual budget, right? And that does accrue kind of over a 5-year time period. So maybe one year there'll be a lot of donations and one year there'll be 0 donations. So they do have the ability to grow that over that 5-year time period. But there is a cap. So if there's a big windfall, it isn't 5% of all of it, it's 5% up to that cap.
Okay.
So there's a few different pieces in there. And they are giving me the nod. I did a good job. All right.
Yeah, it was that final tier that I was curious about. So
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, and I see Commissioner Menz.
Thank you, President Benny. I'm also, I don't know if I'll be on the committee that's deciding where the funds come from, but I was wondering about, as we do this fields work and we look at the naming recognitions, I was wondering if naming rights would be eligible for endowment donations, and if that might be something we would explore as a part of funding the original endowment as we get it up to the level we need.
Secretary Ringgold, yeah.
President Abeni and Commissioner Menz, and I'm going to stop your clock and not have my time be counting down on it. So right now, the draft naming policy, if it were to move forward, really establishes a naming rights component that's focused on kind of a percent of the overall cost of that amenity. We haven't actually contemplated if that might go to endowment or something else. The piece that I would want us to really think about is the endowment isn't set up by assets, specific assets. It's set up by these kind of big categories. And so when we get to the point of being ready to say, okay, let's have naming rights and funding associated, the endowment may or may not be the right choice depending on what the asset is.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that we would take that money and put it towards that specific purpose, but just for the endowment's purpose, like what's defined. But also, I was wondering about, as commissioners, as people on this board who may be in contact with people who would have donations that would be interested in the endowment, from what I understand, we direct them to the foundation because the foundation will be doing most of the background work on this. So, and thank you for answering those questions in an email, Secretary Ringgold. So I'm just trying to make sure that how we build this fund, and if I'm talking with people who are engaged or who have money, this is a longevity piece that we want to sustain. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for those questions. I don't see other questions. I just just really think this is awesome that we're pushing this over the finish line. I'm happy that Tom Evers has shown up too. I see him peeking out from back there. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and take this to a vote. All those in favor of Resolution 2024-285, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. So we do have some time here, and so I'd like to move to petitions and communications. I'll start with Commissioner Forney.
Thank you, President Abene. First of all, happy birthday, former Superintendent Emeritus Theodore Wirth. His birthday is today. He was born in 1863, so I had to, I'm sorry, you guys know I'm a birthday person. He's would have been 162 years old if I have the math right. So anyway, hurrah. So anyway, I also just want to mention that I did go to the Lowry Station presentation last night. And my understanding is we will have a presentation of all of the updates on that February 5th. I will not be here, but I am just very, very pleased with what the project staff has been responsive of. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I also wanted to indicate that I believe that our North Mississippi Citizen Advisory Committee is going to be starting soon. And just a reminder to us all that as far as our role when we go to meetings like that, our role is to listen. And I think that's something that's very important for us to remember. It's the citizens' time to speak, and I just want people to be cognizant of that. Like I say, on the 5th will be our opportunity to respond to the Blue Line. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Olson,
Pass.
Commissioner Rucker,
I also attended the Blue Line presentation last night. It was a pretty good presentation. Looking forward to our meeting February 5th so we can get more information and get it out to the public.
thank you for that. Commissioner Alper,
Pass.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes, I just want to take this moment to reflect back in our first year of our term. My colleagues supported an amendment around the Southwest Light Rail easement fees and the closing of Cedar Lake Parkway. And I just want to say thank you again to everyone who supported that direction of sending those fees to a natural resource project in the area. That project has commenced, and if you are looking for a nice walk in the woods, I would encourage you to go through the northeast corner just north of Hidden Beach. They have started a 3-year restoration project there. That the first has been a big mowing of buckthorn, and the woods really feel different and a little bit scary for people. But it's really with a vision for how that space is going to be transformed as we have increased visitors with the Southwest Light Rail stop right on that beach, and really a reset for the restoration of that area. So the contractor will be in that space for a course of 3 years. And I just wanted to tell everyone that the community is excited, and thank you again for your support in that initiative.
Awesome, thank you. Commissioner Menz.
Thank you, President Benny. I do have a couple of things. So my community just had an election, so we just we're deciding on the January 28th who will be our next state senator. So thanks to all the candidates who entered the race. Also, I did want to say something that's come up in my other work as a school teacher. I walk around my building with 1,000 current or future constituents. And, you know, budgets have impact, and I have received multiple talking tos from students who have been impacted by the closure of the rec centers at 8 o'clock. This is not by my asking them, it is by them coming to me and saying, what's up with us closing the rec centers? So I think that we need to really look at how our decisions impact the people who might need it most. And that doesn't mean that our decision was a poor one, but it does have impact, and it does have impact on youth who look to our park board, who look to us as leaders as why are you taking this away from us? And that's powerful to me as an elected official. So I just kind of wanted to let the board know that. Also, I would appreciate some of the staff members. I met with some staff this week about centralized registration in sports, and as you all know, I represent District 1, but a lot of coaches come to me, and I talk to a lot of coaches and outside agencies. Some of them are here today. And really making sure that we are communicating in a way that helps and gets win-wins. I think that part of our responsibility is to leverage the resources that we have for the most good that we can. And when we leverage resources, it doesn't always mean that we are the programmers. We are the people who do the work in the parks. It's leveraging those resources so that the people who do good, who are looking towards the common good, who are looking out for youth recreation or elderly recreation, that we are making sure that we are treating those groups as true partners, not customers or even adversaries. And I think that sometimes we've done that, and I hope that we can move, especially I'm very supportive of centralized registration, as I've told many groups, but I do think that there's a possibility of it impacting people in ways that we might not intend, and we need to keep those blind spots open and really listen to the community as we go through this process, and realize we're not going to get it perfect right away, but that we should be working towards getting as many people as happy as possible as we can with this process. So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, President Benny. I'll just highlight a few things that people already talked about. I was not at the Blue Line meeting last night, but I have gotten robust feedback, like from people who were there, told me what happened, and I'm grateful that we're going to get a new presentation. It sounds like things are headed in an amenable direction for all involved on the north side. And I wanted to take a moment and thank my colleagues and thank the Parks Foundation for this agreement that we've just entered into, which is really, truly, I think, I mean, I've only been on this job for 3 years, but it feels like a really big deal. So I didn't want to have the moment pass by without saying that. Commissioner Menz, I too sometimes get students asking questions about what we do, and I do my best to just make it into a teachable moment, as they say, about budgets and whatnot, and usually I get a lot of wide eyes, so maybe I talk too much, but hopefully it'll help explain some of the things and the decisions that we make. And then last, I just wanted to say that to anyone in the world of field sports, diamond sports, if they're listening, that we're making some progress, and hopefully we'll announce that another time. But yeah, thank you to my colleagues who attended the Blue Line meeting. I know that was a really big deal, so thank you both for being there.
Okay, and I'll comment. I didn't bring the flyer this time, but on Monday at Martin Luther King Park, the annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Event will be taking place at 6 p.m., I believe. So there are a lot of speakers lined up, some performers as well. So I recommend people attend. I'll be there, and I'm pretty excited. With that, we actually, And I want to hear also from the Vice President.
Thank you very much, President Abeni. I actually will pass, so we can move
there we
on
go.
then to the next item on our
See,
agenda. Thank you.
I knew you were going to pass. Okay. So I gotta get a little better at multitasking, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and start reading the open time rules. I don't know if we have people signed up, but I suspect we may. So thank you to those of you who have come to speak during tonight's open time. The board's open time rules are as follows. I will call on people from the speaker list only. Names are added to the speaker list by calling in before 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting or by adding it in person at the board meeting before 5:30. The time allotted for all speakers shall not exceed 15 minutes. When I know how many speakers we have, I'll do some math and let everybody know how much time they have to speak. This is an opportunity, this is important, this is an opportunity for you to address the board. We are listening, but we will not respond. That said, please don't hesitate to contact any of the commissioners for dialogue and further discussion. To protect the privacy of individuals, please refrain from commenting on specific personnel issues or pending litigation. Discriminatory or harassing words directed at anyone will not be tolerated. And finally, each speaker is asked to state their name and address or where they live. And with that, we have 14 speakers, so it will be 1 minute per person. So with that, I'll begin calling from the top of the list. I have, I'll call the first couple of names in a row. Tom Evers, followed by Jocelyn Hale. Please approach. Mr. Evers, nice to see you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
President Abeni, Commissioner, Superintendent, good to see you all again. I came to speak in favor of what the action you just did, and congratulations. So I come out now to thank you. The decision to forge the partnership with the Parks Foundation on the endowment is really important. It is a long time coming. Commissioner Forney will attest to it, and it just thank you, and I think it will unlock philanthropy. As I'm no longer the executive director, but I still live in Minneapolis, love this system, and I think what this endowment does is open up a chance for those who do love the system to leave a legacy. So thank you, congratulations, good to see you all.
Thank you so much. Jocelyn Hale, followed by Bill Sternberg. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn Hale. I've been a resident of Minneapolis for 61 years. And thank you very much for passing this resolution. And so I'll use it as an opportunity to thank the commissioners, Superintendent Bangora, the staff. You have put countless hours into making our park system strong and a pride of the country, and I really appreciate it. And I'm on the board of the Minneapolis Parks Foundation. I have put the Park Foundation in my will. I will change that so it goes to this endowment specifically. And I think the opportunity is great. And Coach Tate, you ask how the children are. We're doing this for the children. We probably won't see the resources. It's for our children. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bill Sternberg, followed by Shelley Carthen-Watson.
Hi, Bill Sternberg. I live in Plymouth. I work at the Minneapolis Foundation, and if Theodore Wirth were here today, he would be cheering. Because of what you have done over the many years for the park system in the Twin Cities or in Minneapolis, I hope that 100 years from now, you all are cheering for what this endowment can bring to the park system in terms of an ongoing private philanthropy income stream for projects throughout the parks. I applaud you. I appreciate the fact that you're working with private philanthropy to continue to improve and build the parks in the Twin Cities. So, thank you.
Thank you. Shelley Carthen-Watson, followed by Tyrone Wallace.
Good evening, everyone. I serve on the park board, and then my day job, I'm CEO of the YWCA Minneapolis. And I want to just thank you for the step that you have taken tonight. My organization serves several thousand children a year, and we all know how essential it is for them to have green spaces. When you see studies that say myopia is increasing among our children because they're not exposed to natural light, all of those things are so critical to the people, not only children, but the people in our community. And I want to thank you for allowing us to partner with you and make sure that we can grow and continue, and grow our park system and have our children continue to thrive. Thank you so much for supporting this.
Thank you. Tyrone Wallace, followed by Waylon Bemboom. Tyrone Wallace, Waylon Bemboom, followed by Jenny Turnham. Waylon?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me today. My name is Waylon. I have coached rec sports at the youth level for 5 years now. I've coached flag football and youth baseball, and I'm also a former college baseball player. I played 4 years of baseball at the University of St. Thomas. Today, I'm here to discuss that based on my experience as a coach, I support centralized registration for youth sports. First reason, equal opportunity. Over the past couple of years, we have had a special needs player on our team, and it was awesome to see them connect with their teammates, make some friends, and grow as a person and player. Without park registration, which we've done every year I have coached, I am not sure that they would have found a group to play with or make organic social connections to have that team. I also think that it creates a better experience for all. 1 year we played the same team on paper twice. I'll call them Park ABC. Game 1, they showed up in travel basketball uniforms. They were highly organized and coordinated and clearly were some sort of travel team. We played the same team on paper next week, and they were very late to the game, no jerseys, flags, did not know the rules or how to play, and there was a completely different cast of coaches and players. That created a bad experience for players, coaches, parents, and referees.
Thank you for those comments.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. The next name is, it might be Jenny or Jerry Turnham. Thank you.
Jeremy Terhar.
Okay.
Thank you for having me. I too wanted to speak on behalf of the centralized youth sports registration. I coach with Waylon, and we've done it for like 5 years. And in our experience, when teams aren't like park affiliated, the team that we're going to face is a total crapshoot, whether they know the rules or have equipment or anything like that. And then when our parents take time out of their weekend to show up, and our time as well, and it's unorganized, like just this year alone, half of our games, Waylon and I ended up subbing for the other team because they didn't show up and they aren't park affiliated, so we, can't get a hold of them or anything like that. So I just wanted to speak on in favor of the centralization. It's more organization to make a better experience for the participants, the parents, the coaches who volunteer their time. So thank you.
Thank you. Mitchell Hansen, followed by Al Flowers.
Hello, thanks for letting me speak. So I want to talk about, I did a full audit. I'm actually a certified DNR tree inspector now, got a 92 in the exam, yay. So hopefully you can listen to my words a little more carefully. I'm not saying you weren't, but so I did a full audit on 2022, and there were over 2,000 trees that said more trees, please. That's the ARPA fund. Jeremy Barrick, David Wilson, and the city were in an email saying there was $600,000 left over, which is reflected in Ralph's budget. They did not need any extra money, yet you said there was an emergency. In the city forest credits actual documentation, it says more trees, please. So did they use youth funding to plant trees? Because they didn't have that money yet. So I'd love to know an answer to that. Also, congratulations with the 2023 city forest credits agreement. You're gonna remove 1.3 tons of CO2 a year. 1.3. Is that carbon sequestration? Y'all getting worked, seriously, and you're working us.
Thank you.
It's unbelievable.
Al Flowers. Mr. Flowers, I noticed you indicated your name twice, but we'll just have one opportunity. Thank you.
That ain't me, that's somebody else.
Al Flowers Jr.
That's
Okay.
another Al Flowers
Thank you.
Jr. Hey, thank you for this opportunity to speak. And I'm not going go off. We got a problem with this centralized registration and I think it's racism going on here. These are black kids that y'all want to get into the park system registration. I got a lot of calls on this, and Superintendent Van Gore, I've been meeting with Nicole, and that's why I'm a little disappointed to be here tonight, and hope that we'll set something up so we can say how the community really feel. And we talking about 600 African American kids, little boys and girls. And you know what I'm working on right now? We got 10,000 kids in Hennepin County that's absent from school. A lot 9,000 is African American. So that's what I'm out here fighting while you ain't letting the people that can help our kids help them. They need that support after school. They need that, so we got to consider that. We have to consider what's happening here, Superintendent Bangor. These are our kids. These are black kids. We working on things together. Juneteenth, we're working on that. But this is not okay right here. And we were sitting down meeting. That's why I'm mad, because we sitting down meeting, and I said that to Mimi coming in. Hey, if you're gonna have us sitting down with Nicole, how do you make a decision and then do things like the Boys and Girls Club? The Boys and Girls Club, all the kids they have. This is a serious situation, Commissioner Rucker, for black kids, and we can't. And we got to figure it out without fighting, especially on this day. You know what this day is, right? King Holiday. The federal holiday is then. Today is King Holiday. Today is King Holiday, where he was talking about bringing people together. Come on, y'all. Give me a break,
Okay.
Superintendent.
Yep.
I'll send something to see if we can set up something with you, because everybody else is up under you.
Let's do that, Mr.
besides the
Flowers.
board. So
Yep,
I
we
can
hear
talk
you.
to the superintendent.
Yep,
I can talk to him.
We hear you.
I
Thank
can
you.
talk to him. I would like to set something up to meet
Yep.
with the superintendent, Mr. Rucker. Y'all got to look at what's happening to us.
We will. AJ
Look at
Flowers,
black
please.
kids. Well, you must not if we're
Followed by
doing
Mike.
this right now.
Followed by Mike Tate. Yep.
Yep. If we doing it, if we doing this, we must ain't doing this
Well,
right.
no.
Let us in the door.
Yep.
Leave our
Yep.
kids alone.
Yep.
Let us say what's gonna happen with our kids.
Yep.
That's what we got to do now. You putting our kids in more danger. 9,000 juveniles not going to school.
Yeah.
And they got kids out off the street. Look at what they doing.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Thank
That's
you.
all I'm saying. And we'll come back. We'll come back. We're gonna do this right. You ain't gonna kill our kids now.
Yep. We can hear you.
Yeah, how everybody doing? My name Al Flowers Jr. I'm also a coach that volunteers my time as well, and money and resources in order to make sure that we can bring over 100 kids, majority of them black. I coach with the inner city Ducks, in order to get these children off the streets from the ages of 4 to 14. Y'all don't even work with children that young. So we start at 4 years old. So first off, I just want to say I'm totally against the centralized registration. That is going to dismantle these programs that we have out here that's building intentional relationships with our young folks and their parents within the city of Minneapolis. I'm a Minneapolis resident, been living here for 32 years. I'm a park baby myself. And what I see going on in the parks right now is absolutely ridiculous. And to hear people talk about the fairness or the competition level when we're talking about things like basketball, where black kids play majority and we better at, but yet when we go to the baseball tournaments, we're not up here crying when we get our butt kicked 12-0 by Lyndhurst. We don't cry about that. We take those L's on the chin and we keep moving to get better. But this centralized registration will kill a lot of organizations that's working with a lot of our young black folks right now. And I know it ain't a lot of black faces to look at right now, but you got to think about these young black babies that we are going to be putting in the harm's way by trying to do this program, because these kids are signing up for the programs that they want to be under and the coaches that understand them and also can work with their parents.
Thank you. Mike Tate, followed by Jim Halburn.
Mike Tate, Coach Talley. I want to read something to you. Redlining was a discriminatory practice that prevented black and brown people from accessing housing and community resources. This practice continues to have long-term effects on the health and well-being of residents in redlined communities, including their access to recreational spaces. I love using my props. You're redlining all of the organizations that made you guys rich, that bought you homes and lake homes. You have all the asset money going to all the people that look like you and none that look like me. And all we're asking for you is to be fair with our children. Give them some hope. Ask us to be at the table, because you don't know what we need. Most of y'all just got here. And you're signing off on things that your staff, you think they really care about our children? Because they don't even ask us. And they don't live here. We've been doing this a long time, y'all. We've been saving lives a long time. And that's all we're asking. You can't do centralized registration because you're too lazy to go out across the street and recruit the kids that's over there playing. Because you want Coach Talley to come back and you do the work, and you do it for free, and you do it 20 hours a week, Coach, because you put all kind of kids into college, and you've done all kind of great things. But no, we're going to hold you guys accountable, because I'm going to tell you something. If you don't, we're going to put these on your tables and your desk, because that's what's happening. Our kids are going away in handcuffs. You understand that? And we're going to put it on your desk, each one of you.
Thank you, Coach.
If it continues.
Okay, thank you. Jim Halburn, followed by Charles Moses, maybe.
All right, I guess I should have, I got that topic too that I'd like to talk about, but not tonight. Again, my name is James Halber, President of Phelps Activities Council. PAC of over 17 years is a Phelps Park, South Minneapolis neighborhood-based 501c3, raising and providing support to help structured activities in the Phelps Park community. We contribute over 10,000 volunteer hours, equipment, uniforms, activities, and resources per year for about 300 underserved families, and to compete in the Minnesota Twins RBI, park rec, baseball, basketball, track, field, flag, tackle, football. And this PAC had a fundraising agreement in place with the Empire RB over 2 years. During the time, PAC has raised over $750,000 pledged to a $1.8 million project to redo Phelps surfacing in their field. And we have partnerships with NFL, Vikings, Minnesota Twins, Minneapolis Foundation, Yellow Tree Corporation. However, the Minneapolis Park and Rec Board fundraising agreement with PAC needs to be renewed so the Park Board does not forfeit the funds that would benefit the vital resource to this community. Thanks.
Thank you. Charles Moses, followed by Brian Walters.
I'm moved by the sentiments that's been shared by my elders this evening, and you have to forgive me because I'm trying to restrain myself from becoming emotional as I stand at this podium speaking. I was here last week at the urging and education of Mr. Tate about these meetings, and if it's you, Mr. Superintendent, that I should be addressing this toward, decentralized registration is a decision that would galvanize organizations such as the one that I serve in at Hospitality House Youth Development. This is not pro-community. As it's been spoken so eloquently by my elders, I stand in full support and echo the exact sentiments that they've spoken. I just left our center of 100 beautiful black children, and the decision that's being made by the Park Board staff, if the commissioners do not step in to intervene, is criminal.
Thank you. Brian Walters.
I will be back again next week, and if I need to fill this space with 100 individuals, I will. And I will not apologize because our children show up with excellence from Park A, B, and C. If you're going to dismantle us for building something that's excellent for those that we serve who are underprivileged, I will not apologize. This is not about competition. It's not about trophies. It's about the service work that we do to save lives and enriching the lives of those who are underserved and underrepresented. I will not apologize.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Charles. Brian Walters.
Brian Walters, resident South Minneapolis, coached at Phelps Park, volunteered for 6 years. I'm here to speak against the centralized registration for all these reasons these guys have given. It is going to absolutely negatively impact disproportionately the children of color and lower income families in this community. These are the kids that we have to reach out, we have to recruit and get them to sign up for these services. It takes coaches that have relationships with them to get that done. My wife alone has created a track team at Phelps of probably 25 kids, and the only reason she was able to get those kids was because she had that relationship. I don't mean to call out the coaches that spoke in favor of this agreement or of this plan, but I would argue I've probably coached one of those teams that you felt was disorganized and unprepared, and yeah, we've probably had lopsided victories, but the reason they're unprepared is because they don't have the resources that your parks do. They don't have the parental support that your parks do, and we need all of that in a focused organization such as these guys, the Ducks, the Phelps, the Hospitality House. These are the organizations that are doing the work in the community for free, volunteers, creating those relationships to get the children into these programs. You need these organizations to do that.
Thank you. I have one more name I'm going to call back again. That was Tyrone Wallace. Is Tyrone here? Tyrone. With that, I'll close open time, and I'll adjourn our meeting.